Driving dish, George's driving dish.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Driving Dish. Today we have a special guest, 6'7", from Long Beach State, the great Bryon Russell, wearing the number 3. B. Russ, thanks for coming through, man.
Man, thanks for having on me, G-Man, a.k.a. Minivan.
B. Russ, You know, your journey has been pretty crazy through the NBA, and it started off being a second-round pick, being the 45th pick, and having to literally fight for everything you had to get, especially with the Jazz. It's obviously well known that they had to cut someone for you to flourish and have a spot on the roster. Can you, touch a little bit on that and how the start of your journey was pretty epic and difficult at the same time?
Well, as in college, I think our last game was in the NCAA at Utah. And I told myself, man, it's hard to breathe out here. I don't want to come back. So draft come up, Utah Jazz select Bryon Russell. I was happy as I don't know what. And then I figured it was going to be hard. I got drafted, the 45th pick in the second round. And then as training camp started, I must have impressed Jerry Sloan pretty good and Scott Layton. So they kept me over Ike Austin, which was a guaranteed contract. That was the beginning of it all right there.
You talk about Ike Austin and, obviously being around Utah, you hear whispers here and there. Wasn't that Karl Malone's right-hand man? So for you to beat him out and then have him cut, I mean, you have to have been doing something right.
Man, I just came in there, stayed focused on what I needed to do, and did what I done well as a collegiate player in high school. And I just played defense and rebound and kept my mouth quiet.
You played in a lot of epic games, man. I've had a lot of time to really just sit back and watch those, Jazz and Bulls games, and especially with the fan support in both arenas, Chicago fans and Utah fans. They talk about playing with no fans. How would that be for you? I mean, you're an energy guy. You feed off that. How hard is it going to be for players getting back and playing with no fans?
I think it'll be tough, but if players wanted to get back and play and do what they love, I mean, I would play in a heartbeat because I'm tired of sitting around. That would be my thing as a basketball player. And plus, I'm trying to get out the house and get away from my wife and kids.
Hey, B-Russ, one thing about the Driving Dish podcast, whatever you say here stays with me. And
come on, yeah, everybody. No, I wouldn't be ashamed to say that. I mean, I'm pretty sure the players is like, man, sitting in the house is like the walls is closing in on you. You're so used to being out working and, putting on a show and entertaining the crowd. But now you just I don't watch every episode on Netflix. I mean, I don't watch so much TV.
Right here, I think we're all sick of it, and we kind of all want to get back to our everyday life. And you're an experienced NBA veteran. What is your biggest concern going forward about the game? With being safe and how we can protect ourselves and the people around us. Going forward and still living an everyday life, especially playing in the NBA.
I say this too, it's a money game now. So I don't have any problem with owners protecting their investment, but I do have a problem with sitting out, especially in big games. Like some games, like back-to-back, you got to play, man, because the fans, actually, they really came to see the star players. And if a star player is sitting out, it kind of defeats the purpose of it. But, I mean, they should play with limited minutes, if anything.
No, I hear you. I hear you on that. And that's kind of, been an ongoing topic. And maybe you could tell some stories or touch on that, because every player that I see, that played back in your day, they got a finger that's poking out this way. It almost makes me realize dang, you really weren't playing back then if you didn't have a finger that's pointed in the wrong direction. Can you just, touch on, the pride that you guys took in playing every game and the toughness? Because, not this day and age, everybody makes fun of us for being friendly with everyone. But on the court, you didn't look like you had too many friends. Karl Malone didn't look like he had too many friends. So can you just touch a little bit on that?
When I first got in here, I knocked somebody down. I didn't foul people hard. I just played defense. So I knocked a friend of mine down. I reached down and picked him up. Karl knocked me harder than I knocked him. And said, boy, don't you pick him up at all. He ain't your friend. Now why we playing? So It's either pick him up or get hit. I'd rather leave him down on the ground. But I mean, it is a friendly league now. I mean, we didn't play friendship game basketball. I mean, I think we all wanted to kick each other's butt and do it physical. And at the end of the day, we're gonna have a little beer and talk about it. But other than that, it was no friends. I mean, you laugh and giggle in the beginning, but once that ball jumped, it's on and cracking.
You know, I said this to you when we talked briefly before. You know, I don't know how you played as many games as you did, especially in, 13 seasons with, I'm sitting here watching these games on ESPN and dudes are getting elbows to the chest, to the chin. You were thinking twice about cutting down the lane. Back in your day, this day and age, you can run in there, dance, spin around, you'll be all right. So I commend you. I don't know how you do it, but if you want to give us a couple secrets on how you kept your body right, this minivan just is trying to run forever.
I mean, when I played, only thing I did was drink a beer after the game to give me some carbohydrates. I really wasn't a drinker. Stay healthy, stay in the ice. I literally stayed in the ice. Even on off days, I would go, sit in the ice tub at home. And I always wanted to make sure I was ready to go. I didn't want to say I'm hurt, because now, you can get hurt and sit out for 10 games. You get hurt 10 games. Back when I played, you might be out for a long time because that person behind you is hungry. And your spot, you got to earn it. And that's the thing a lot about now. A lot of people don't earn their spot. It's given to them. Like you and I are journeymen. We worked our butt off. and we found a home, and it was Utah.
Yeah, I think, I was joking with you before, saying that, you were the 45th pick, I was the 50th pick. You shot 9% in the NBA from three when you first got in. I shot 8. So, it's definitely something that we've had to work at, continue to grow. You had a year where you shot 41%, and I just think, I think when we saw our opportunity to get in there and finally last, we were never going to let that pass us up.
Oh, without a doubt. And my thing is, I shot that 9% and I seen that. I said, you know what? I'm going to come back a better three-point shooter. So every off season, whatever I wasn't good at, I made sure I came back and was better at it the next year.
That kind of leads me to your legacy, B. Russ. And obviously, people want to know about the shot and, what was going through your head. And then I'm kind of going to try to switch it up after that and then ask you, if that shot doesn't go in and you just so happen to either get a fingertip or get the steal when he was going right, how does your legacy change going forward?
Oh, it really changes for him. I mean, for me, it's going to be, this is what they've been doing, going back and forth the whole series, even the year before. But if we get that, or I tip that ball and knock it out or block it, we go to game 7. That's the only thing I was thinking about. Let's go to game 7. That's the only thing in my mind when he got that ball on that left wing. And for me, Gordon Chiesa was our guy who broke down a lot of film for me. So I told him to give me everything Mike has ever done in the fourth quarter. And, after practice, I'll go watch it. I was big on film and watching every move he had. First thing in my mind, he's going to get to this free throw line. I said, okay, I'm going to try to beat him to the spot. So it was pretty much one of those ongoing, okay, but then I was leaning and he got the hand. He got to push you in there. I just couldn't stop when he stopped because I thought I was quicker than Mike, to be honest. And, he had something different. He probably said, okay, this kid is a little smarter than the average Joe. He probably know I'm going to the free throw line, but he's not going to know about this push-off. Lo and behold, he got away with something that changed the whole league. It changed the league, and it gave him the 6th title.
Oh, 100%. And that off arm has really developed for a lot of guys and kind of made some guys' career, going.
I agree. It made some careers, man. The push-off has made careers. I mean, you look at it, I think almost every player do it. It's just a part of the game now. The referees they swallow that whistle more than they ever did, ever.
Your role on these teams, a defender, a guy that can make timely shots. Talk about your mentality, because, obviously we know you have to have a swagger about you to get out there to guard the Kobes, to guard the Michael Jordans. What was your mentality, coming into games? I know you talked about, you thought you were faster than Jordan. You almost kind of have to have a false sense of confidence to really get out there and really make an impact guarding these guys.
Yeah, and it's just not Mike, because I sit here and think about I had to guard the best player on every team,
right?
Which arguably they always gonna shoot over 20 times a game, and I get 6 little funky fouls. So I better make mine count. So I'm sitting here thinking it's going to be hard enough for me to stop them as it is. But, if they shooting the ball 20, 30 times a game, man, it's advantage offensive player. I just try to micromanage my fouls. So, sometimes I picked up 2 quick early fouls. Sometimes I didn't pick none up to the second half. So it was one of those pick your poison, because it might be one day I'm mad at you, Kobe. I'm going to foul the what out of you, and I'm going to go sit down because, Mike, okay, you want to talk? Okay, you're going to have a red arm on that black body because I'm going to foul the mess out of that arm. So, I had to pick my poison. And it really is advantage offensive player in the NBA, because defense is, you can slide, you can get them a foul on offense maybe once, but come on, as a star player, how many times have you seen a star player ever foul out the game, or how many offensive fouls they ever got?
What's understood doesn't need to be said, B. Russ,
Absolutely.
And, you've played a lot of basketball in your day, a lot of basketball. Who is the best smack talker?
The best smack talker. It's 2 of them that just made my day when I played it, because it was funny. Gary Payton was one of them.
Ooh, the glove. And then Slim Jim Reggie Miller. Boy, you talk about somebody that talks. Me and Mike talked, but it was in interviews. But when it got on that court, it was just all play. But on the court, you couldn't stop Gary or Reggie from talking. Running their mouth ragged, huh?
Oh man, B, who you guard? Oh, come over here, young fella. I was like, man, who you talking to like that? But I had to respect the chain game. That's what I called it, the chain game. And it could be a veteran from another team that talks smack to me. I kind of had to respect it, but I didn't want him to see it. So I kind of just shut up and just try to play defense.
Last question about this for us, so I can stop tormenting you about it. Who's the toughest cover, man?
A lot of people think that it's Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I can't say that. No. Because there was a lot of wars I was in, like LaFonso Ellis. Man, there was one game in Denver, I literally didn't even want to shoot the ball. I said, look, coach, you want me to fight this animal? Somebody else got to shoot. I couldn't shoot. I focus on defense. But my toughest challenge, Glenn Rice.
Glenn Rice. Ooh.
Yeah, Glenn Rice was tough for me because he was a 6'9" guy who could post up, who could shoot, and ran off screens all in one. And I was like, wow, this dude is he's something special. He was a tough cover for me.
Man, that's funny, because I'm sure a lot of people would try to say Mike, and that's like your claim to fame. But people forget that you had to guard and knuckle up every night and guard the other team's best player. So Glenn Rice, man, I'm going to have to go check up on some film.
All right, so you can imagine there wasn't no hanging out for B. Russ when we had big games. I went to sleep and watched TV. I was like, man, I got to rest up for this guy, because I think us winning, to me, fell on my shoulders quite often more than shooting the ball. We had to make a stop. And I think I got some pretty big stops in those 9 years with Utah. So it worked out good for me, and it worked out for the team.
No, 100%. You were with the Jazz for a lot of great, successful years and some great memories. But B. Russ, you've talked about, guarding Kobe, guarding MJ, but you've also been on the other side. You were on that team with Gary Payton, Karl, Kobe, and then before that, you had played with the Wizards for Michael Jordan's last year. What was it like going from being a defender and defending these guys and really having to knuckle up against them to then joining them? And what are some stories that you have of playing alongside? arguably the two best players to ever play the game.
Yeah, I'll start off with Mike. I never thought I would play with him, and then once the season was over, I was like, you know what? Mike wanted me to play with him, so I said, okay, I'll give it a try in Washington. But I also thought Rip Hamilton was going to be there, but that's when they traded him away for Jerry Stackhouse. But I had already committed, and that's the only time I didn't make the playoffs was going to Washington. You know how mad and depressed I was? But, I mean, Mike, even at that age, man, he was the ultimate competitor. We would be out there shooting in practice at half court. I'm like, Mike, sit down, old man. No, sir. Mike came out and wanted to play. And at a point in time, I said, you know what, let Mike play. I mean, it's his team. He's the owner, player, so let him play. I sat and watched half the season. It's like, you know what, I'm out of here anyway. I'm going to California. And that's when I left and went and played with the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, which was great. And, you know, I kind of thought that was one of the better seasons, but I've never been on a team that was so controversial that was kicking butt. I mean, we had a whole lot going on there, like Kobe and Shaq going at it, GP and Phil. I mean, it was just a lot of turmoil, and we really got through it until once Carl got hurt, it was like, dang it. You know, we 17-3 or something like that when he got hurt. And then it was just like, it was crazy. It was a crazy season, man, but ended up having the best record in the Western Conference. And then we ran up into a good, solid team was the Detroit Pistons. But, I mean, I enjoyed playing with Kobe and Shaq. It was, you know, to see him get off these plane rides coming from court, dropping 40 at night, I'm like, wow, that's incredible. You know, a lot of people can't do that. But it seemed to be that this guy strive on, you know, that basketball court. That's where he got all his peace at. He said to me, you know, I go out there and play, man. This is where I can get out and enjoy Kobe Bryant.
You talked about, you know, having a controversial locker room. You know, maybe just talk about, you know, your time with the Jazz and how, you know, how together you had to be to, you know, to come together and win these games, and how these little distractions, you know, in the locker room make it even tougher, you know, to get out on the court and win games.
Well, my stint with the Jazz, it was a family-oriented team. Everything we did was like family. For those 9 years I played with the Jazz, I knew what Carl could do. I knew where to be if John get out of place on something. I just knew where to go and knew where to be and cover his tail, and as he did for me. That's why I can say that's the best team I ever played on in the NBA, and probably the best talented. I mean, the 1-2 punch, I would have loved to see Kobe and Shaq do it, but it was too much turmoil. It wasn't like that in Utah. Carl and Stockton, nobody could stop the pick and roll. And you have Jeff Hornacek in one corner and myself in the other corner, and hey, pick your poison, because Carl rolling to the basket. So now you got three weapons that he's looking at, and then you might got Ostertag ready to tip dunk something. You know what I mean? But we were real family oriented, and we took care of each other. We always did everything together, and that was the total opposite everywhere else I went. It was more clicked up and in the, you know, where you going? Oh, we going over here. If they going, nope, nah, he going his way, I'm going my way. It wasn't like that, so I had to get used to that.
The Jazz organization does a good job of keeping everything, you know, family oriented and making everybody feel like they're just as important as the next person. That's why, you know, me and you, we love this place, man.
Absolutely. Only thing that made me not want to stay there in the summertime, because I had to live there through the cold. I said, I got to come get some of this beautiful Cali weather.
Hey, you can take the kid out of Cali, but you can't take the Cali out the kid, man.
Not even close. You right about that.
Hey, B. Russ, and, you know, we're going through this pandemic, and, you know, you kind of get all of a sudden put to a halt, and you don't know when you're going to come back. And, you know, you were part of the 1999 lockout. And I guess my first question would be, you know, how do you, you know, fight through something like that, not knowing when you're going to come back? But then when you do come back, what's the mentality that you have? Because obviously things are going to be different. In the 1999 lockout season, you guys came back, had the best record going forward, and then kind of, you know, tailed off and fizzled out.
When that happened, I thought we were going to win that year, to be honest. But, then here comes the trade talk. Once trade talk, some players feel like, okay, you don't want me here? All right, well, I ain't going to give you my all. Greg Foster and Chris Morris, man, I thought they were real key pieces of the puzzle that Scott Layton had got there. And I'm like, one more run at it. Mike is gone, y'all. We really can get this. And for me, there's no asterisk in 99 because we had to play. Somebody had to win. It just happened to be the Spurs. So I'm always going to say that's a championship. Like now, when this pandemic is over and you guys get back to playing, which I can't wait. Whoever wins. I'm going to say, okay, that's a good season. Because we didn't have no control over what this little virus. It's just, it's sad, but at the same time, I would never say, oh, no, it's an asterisk. That's like, if I get a B in one grade and then the coach, or I get an A in the next one, or I get an F, man, I'm not going to change no different. It's going to just be, well, he got an F. He should have got a C. I don't know if that makes sense. But, I mean, I would never put an asterisk behind any championship unless they, cork bats and all of that, or watching people pitches and giving signs. He's throwing a curve.
We're not going to get into that, man.
Yeah, now that's crazy right there. That's crazy.
No, it's wild. And I guess what people don't understand is, a lot of people that are outside of basketball will talk about putting an asterisk next to it. But the hard work and dedication that you got to put into not only playing, but then preparing for the season. And a lot of people don't realize that. So I completely understand about not putting an asterisk next to any championship.
And then for you guys, so say when you guys come back, man, y'all got to re-gel now. Y'all got to really get to, you can't practice. I mean, at least during the lockout, we could practice.
B. Russ, you played 13 years in the NBA. You locked up plenty of superstars. If you could change one thing in your 13-year career, what would it be?
To see a Game 7, like in 98. If I could have stopped that push-off, I would have stopped there. We went to Game 7. I think we would have won it. I honestly thought if we went Game 7, we would have won. But it didn't happen, but that would be the only thing that I would change, is to get one of them championships.
That would have been amazing to see you hoisting up a trophy riding through Salt Lake.
Man.
Parade, man.
I'd have ran out there, try to do a backwards flip or something. I'd have tried it. Hey, don't know how to do a backwards flip, but I sure would have tried. Just put a little mat or something down there so I don't hurt myself.
I love it. B. Russ, thank you so much for joining me on the Georges Niang Driving Dish. I really appreciate it, OG.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. And stay out of the way, man. Stay healthy. And I hope y'all get back to playing and shoot them threes. Shoot them out.
You know it, brother.
I'm ready.